afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the council meeting on Wednesday, the 18th of December. I'd just like to welcome the councillors, staff, media, and all those who are listening in at home. We have suitable dress on today, which is a Christmas theme, being our last meeting for 2024, with Christmas next Wednesday, 1 week away. So we'll all look forward to Santa arriving on the eve of Christmas. I'd like to call now for extraordinary business, if there's any. I know of none. Declarations of interest on today's agenda? None. Confirmation of the minutes on page 3, and looking for accuracy there on page 3 of the minutes that held on the 4th of December, or the meeting held on the 4th of December 24, page 4. Page 5. So we'd like to move through an accurate record. Councillor McMillan, Councillor Brown, seconded. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Next item is number 5, page 6, Audit and Risk Committee, and recommendation there that we receive the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee held on 27th November 24. Councillor Cameron, Councillor Lovett. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Any matters you'd like to raise out of those minutes? No. So we'll move over to item number 6 on page 8, and the Methven Community Board, when we'll receive those minutes. Mover and seconder. Councillor Todd, Councillor McMillan. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. They've been received. Any matters arising out of those minutes that you want to discuss? No, let's move over the page to item number 7, page 11, and the Road Safety Coordinating Committee minutes held on the 3rd of the 12th, 24. So we'd like to move that we receive them. Councillor Hooper, Councillor Todd. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Any items arising out of the... Councillor McMillan.
Thank you. Just a question possibly to Neil McCann. The 30k signs with the time limits on them were due for this Friday, the 20th. I'm just wondering, is that on track? I know you're waiting for ratification or something from...
Yeah, through the chair, we are still awaiting for the change from NZTA, and we cannot make the changes and put the variable speed limit signs up until we receive that. We were hoping we'd get it before this Friday, but it hasn't happened.
Thank you. So it may not happen before the end of the year, if that's
it seems unlikely.
Oh, yep. That's a shame.
Councillor Wilson.
I'd just like to draw attention to the roadworks through Timor, which is it's on state highway, not on our roads, and how they've been. Many people have commented how they've been done about 3 or 4 times, and I see they're redoing them again today. They did say there was at no cost to the country, but we expressed that it needs to be done timely and on time. So just people understand that it is not our road network, it's Wakatahei's network.
Councillor Lovett.
Just the road safety with the 20k's either way of the school buses. I'm just wondering whether the rural woman will be invited to help with that, because it was them that had instigated this initially, and they've been pushing for years for this, and they have a bit of promotional stuff. Just wondering if they're going to be asked to be involved at Kirui Field Days.
Councillor McMillan, could you assist there?
I was just going to comment. As far as I'm aware, I think they were working with rural women for that, because they did mention them.
Perhaps at your next meeting you could just follow that up and see that they are. So it was a good initiative that the rural woman did do. Yeah. Thank you. Item number 8 on page 14, Stockwater Transition Working Group. We'll receive those minutes. Councillor Cameron, Councillor Wilson. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Anything, items you want to discuss there? And I do note we have the plan. Stockwater Extension Transition Plan is coming to us, exit plan is coming to us very shortly to adopt. Nothing.
I just have a question, thank you.
Yep.
Through the chair, I see the next meeting's not scheduled to the 6th of March. Is that timely enough, or was that organised because the transition plan needs to be adopted and then there's a bit of work to do? Is that, it just feels like it's quite a wee way away.
Councillor Wilson.
Probably, I had one thing to say first. The plan going forward was everybody agreed from the transition plan that, agreed with it. And we decided a meeting in March because then it gives time after the Christmas break for the process to start working. There's no point in having a core group plan when we haven't had anything happen effectively, and then we can start going through, as the plan states, we've got an order of which way we look at each section of the race network, and so it made sense to have a bit of time for the staff to start that process, and then we've got something to talk about effectively.
Good there. Next item is number 9, Three Waters Committee meeting held on the 5th of December 24. A move and a second, if please. Receive those minutes. Councillor Lovett, Councillor Ellis. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Any items in there you wish to discuss? Perhaps there's one item, might be a question to Tanya perhaps, under projects and the Drumore UV filtration. There's some issues of the land access. Are they being remedied, or is it stalled, or where's that at the moment? Tanya?
Through the chair, the property acquisition is ongoing, as I understand it, but has stalled. But assets are looking at alternative options for that site.
Yeah, through the chair, that's correct. We were looking at alternatives and costing alternatives before deciding to proceed with that, and we're still in that process.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cameron?
I have a question, 4.3, extraordinary business water demand management, and that there may be some consideration to support water restrictions. My question is that in response to the lower pressure in the evenings? Is that why water restrictions are being considered?
Mr. McKenna?
Oh, I want to.
Neil?
Yeah, through the chair, that's correct. It's just to put advice out to recommend that water demand can change. Because we were suffering with lower pressure during peak hours in the evening.
So we have not, when I read the report, it mentions that this has not happened in recent years for whatever reason. Is that because it's been exceptionally dry this year, or why is that? Because it was dry last year too, I think.
Yeah, previous years we were fortunate. We had quite a bit of rainfall, and our demand wasn't as high. It has been high recently, just over the last 2 weeks. So it's just raising that awareness. We'll keep monitoring it and see. Fortunately, we are having a bit of rainfall, so we hope it'll steady down to a similar sort of pattern as what we had last year.
And that leads me to my last part 3 of the same question. It's a low pressure. Is that a symptom that we need to worry about with ongoing development in the town, or is it just a reflection of a one-off occasion and our pressure will go back to its normal level? Because the demand presumably won't decrease in the summer, I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, the pressure is really the huge demand over a very short period of time. What we could do is look at increasing the pipe size, but that would be uneconomical because we only really suffer this problem for a few weeks, a month or two at the most.
Because we've replaced quite a lot of water pipes, haven't we, recently? Thank you.
Just by using the water for water in the garden, which is probably causing it, at times when people aren't using it for their showers or their cooking or what have you, will alleviate the problem. And electricity has this issue every morning and every evening with people cooking their dinners, and they have ways of shedding load, they call it, and your water cylinders get turned off, but you just don't know about it. Council can't do that with water, but it's just what it is, and with good management, it'll be fine. Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. As I was away, I just wanted a wee bit of an update on the Montalto scheme. Is it looking likely that the on-the-house filters that was talked about at our conference in Dunedin a likely solution there? Neil?
Through the chair, that's something we are working with Taumata Arawai, and just we haven't made much progress since we last met, but we have engaged with them and they're willing to work with us. So in the new year, with Ulrich having arrived, we'll progress that.
Thank you.
Councillor Ellis?
Thank you. There's a recommendation to council there that Councillor McMillan be appointed as the Three Waters Committee Deputy Chair. I'd like to move that.
And take a seconder. Councillor Brown. Open for debate. If not, put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor McMillan, for doing that. Next item, number 10, Heritage Mid-Canterbury Working Group meeting held on the 5th of December 24. And a move and a second that we receive that, please. Councillor Cameron, Councillor Todd. All those in favour, we receive those minutes, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Any questions, clarification? And there's also a recommendation in there. Just one question, the time capsule, and you were going to ask the Mayor to put a letter into the time capsule similar to what, I'll let you carry on.
Yeah, similar to the one that you put into the council updates in the newspapers.
From the previous
From the previous meeting, which I think is lovely, and which everybody agreed at the meeting that would be lovely. And we cannot open the capsule; it would have to sit on top, of the tin exterior. Would sit on top. But we'd like you to do that, and I think I sent an email to that effect. Yeah.
Would you also, that letter we took out from the old building, council building, which from 50 years ago, would you reinsert that letter back in with this letter?
That's a lovely idea, I think. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
We've copied it and read it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go back in.
It's lovely. I mean, that was lovely to read. That it was quite exciting for people to. I think that would be really nice to put in our time capsule. Something personal.
Yep. Okay, Councillor Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The roading manager was in discussion with NCTA on a pedestrian island. Has that been progressed at all? Do you know?
I don't know. I'll have to get an update on that.
Yeah, I was just asked yesterday. Someone was crossing State Highway 1 there, and they said it was very difficult to get across. And I said, well, we are talking about it, and I just wondered if we'd started that conversation.
Councillor McMillan.
Thank you. Just the Pioneer Hall Historic Panel. So will that's obviously going to go inside the Children's Library area, is that correct?
I understand.
Hang on. Yep.
Sorry.
Councillor Cameron.
No.
Sarah.
Through the chair, it is on it's inside Te Whare Whakatieri on the external brickwork of Pioneer Hall. So if you're walking down into the Children's Library, it's the corner just prior to turn down to the AV studio. So it's not the chimney wall, it's the other face of the Pioneer Hall, and it's prominent there so people can see it, stop, read and enjoy it.
We have a recommendation there that funding of $1,010 plus GST be provided from the Heritage budget for the printing of the Historic Places Mid-Canterbury Heritage Town Walk brochures. Is there a move and a seconder for that? Councillor Cameron.
Thank you.
Councillor McMillan. Open for debate. Being none, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Moving on to reports, and we've got number 11 and page 20, the adoption of the Stockwater exit transition plan. Welcome, Neil. Chrissy. Anything further to add to your report?
No, nothing further to add.
Got questions in. Any questions, councillors, of the report? Councillor Cameron.
I'm looking at the appendix. The extra file on
Page
Stella.
you on.
Oh, I'll just go down to about page 20. I've got quite a lot of blank sheets in my document. Like example, page 23 or 20 on the document, 23 on Stella, 19, the communicate, 21. I'm missing it's a lot of blank sheets. So I don't know what, and the communications plan I think is also blank.
Yeah, we can sort that. I know that it was designed to be in a booklet, and I'm not sure if that was deliberately left blank, but we'll look into that and tidy that up.
So can I ask a question of the chair, please? How do we approve it when we don't have it?
Tony.
Thank you, through the chair. I think all the components are actually in that document. The blank pages are sort of placeholder pages when we're going to design and print. The communications plan is on page, 59 of the document on Stella.
Yeah, sorry, I should have clarified. There's nothing missing. Everything is in there.
It's just the formatting.
The formatting that needs to be tidied up, yeah.
Councillor Cameron?
When I can't read where is the communications plan then? I'm looking at a blank sheet of paper. I'm looking at a picture on page 56 showing irrigation stockwater scheme service properties, a colourful schematic. 56, 57, 58 are blank.
That's your communications plan starting there.
Oh, so we've got through. Oh, so that's it there, page 63. Got you. Okay. Thank you. So we're just going to put pictures in those blank pages.
Perhaps, I'm not sure, but we'll tidy that up. Yep.
So we move in a seconder for that recommendation. Councillor Wilson, Councillor Cameron, moved and seconded. Open for debate. Thank you, Neil. Chrissy, no debate. Councillor McMillan.
Thank you. I support this. I'm really impressed with the transition plan. Congratulations to the working group. And I particularly like the communication plan at the bottom with dates, and just everything was in there that I think we need to show the community of what's going on. So well done, and support this.
Councillor Lovett.
I'm just going to back up Liz, what she said. I think the staff have done a very good job putting all this together, and it's been great. And now we can start proceeding, and yeah, everyone knows where they are.
Any further speakers for or against? Right reply. Councillor Wilson.
Yes, I'd just like to endorse that the process is working very well. The working group was charged with monitoring progress, and all the parties, which is ECAN, district councillors, Fed farmers and Runanga, are working very well together, and see this as the process goes forward and we start working on each intake by intake, we can come back through that group, and that will be a good sounding base to help the process work well. So it's on track at the moment, and hopefully we can keep it on track.
Well done. Put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Next item is item number 12 on page 27, mini golf course project. Something we've been waiting for a wee while for, and the community is too. So it's good to see progress. Sarah, anything further to add to the report?
No, just I guess a sort of summary comment that investigation work to date. We're waiting and looking forward to getting the direction from council to know whether or not we proceed or not, going further than what we've done at this point, and the chance that it wasn't going to proceed didn't make sense. So hence we're seeking direction of the location, seeking the direction of the costing in terms of the funds available, and working towards finding a final solution with regards to the concept design. So that's fantastic. There are mini golf courses and mini golf courses. They are not all the same. So I know that budget is a question, and we have requested additional funding from what the envelope that was initially given. And the rationale is, until we know the scope and desire of council through this report, getting an exact pricing is very, very hard. You can always cut your cloth to suit, and instead of 9 square metre holes, they can be 6 square metre holes. Instead of 18 holes, they could be 9. So, like the questions we have, if we get those answered, then we can sort of almost work forward and backwards at the same time, as opposed to guessing what your intention is. As officers, we want to do it right and do it once, but we know that we've got to work within the budget envelope that you give us.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis, questions?
Thank you. Point 3 there, you've got the 500,000 and it includes the golf course and associated project costs. So the associated projects cost, is that like, because the land's sloping, there needs to be some retaining walls and there'll be pathways in between, and is there lights and those sorts of things all included in that budget?
Yes, the lighting is something that we sort of put into our sort of landscaping category. The reality is it will be accessible for people to use at any time. We have got lighting up and down the steps now, which is fantastic. They're actually solar powered lighting, and they're not actually that expensive. So incorporating those sort of ideas once we know the layout, but without knowing the layout, we don't know how many lights we need, and so the sort of the snowball continues.
Councillor McMillan.
Thank you. Through the chair, my question's on the cost as well. So initially we said up to 400,000, and then I'm looking on page 41 of Stella, and gives us a sort of an estimate, and the basic course is 420,000. Is that correct? And then if we added on, I mean, I think we're going to have to put retaining walls in no matter what if we went for option 3, but do you think that's it? It won't go above the 500,000?
No, we're confident in, as I tried to say at the start, if you said 400 is all that you will get, and this is what you want to deliver, we would be able to. It would just be a lesser quality product that may require more maintenance, or may get damaged more easily, or may not have the theming, so, or maybe smaller. So that the money, what we've sort of put down there as an estimate, is up to 500,000. You'll also note in the recommendation, because of the uplift and because of the interest in this project and the desire to get it right, without always coming back to council for sort of stepping stone miles improvement, we have put in sort of working with potentially 2 elected members of your choice. So that was a recommendation that we thought assisted with the financials, so that there is not officers wanting to spend the most amount possible, but also not wanting to skimp on something that actually longer term is not advantageous to the asset itself or the community.
Thank you. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. I do like the Appendix 2, the project estimates. I think that's really thorough, and I really appreciate the breakdown. So that leads me to my question. The planting and pathways up to $40,000. Don't we have current staff that can do the planting, and don't we propagate our own plants in the domain?
Absolutely. I guess when they do projects, for example, if they're involved in different projects around town, they do get paid by the project. So even if it's our resource and their plants, it's an internal transaction whereby open spaces do get paid. Again, it depends on the level of service. A gravel pathway versus an asphalt pathway, a footpath is completely different.
Yes.
Width makes the difference on cost, all those sort of things. That's why we've just got some ballpark figures that we are estimating, and when we get down to design and actually what it looks like, pricing can be more accurate.
Yes,
so
I think I probably meant the plants and pathways. So that's an internal sort of transfer. So it's not actually, that would then come off. I mean, it's on the budget, but it's sort of, it's already, that's a fixed cost essentially. It's not a variable cost.
Absolutely. If open spaces have capacity, and the other thing that we have talked about is the stairwell, the planting to the right of the current stair. That was done by Becca as a volunteer day. So there's options that we're not precluding, but we just don't, if every pathway is asphalted, 40,000 might not be sufficient. So we're just trying to balance everything.
Be realistic. I think, like some things, when you see it broken down, like the pathways or the cultural narrative and photo opportunities, they do not always have to. They can be delayed or come in later. Perhaps we could build the basic thing, and because we love the look of the actual design, and then we can look at these other things as we go through, and that may come in a little bit under the estimate.
Absolutely, and I guess with regards to the funding of this project, being a project that meets the criteria of the reserve contributions reserve, that it's not rates funded, so it's a project that is available, that the fund has more than sufficient funding. So to delay aspects of it to then use that fund in a year's time to finish it off doesn't make as much sense as if it was a rates funded project that you're trying to sort of spread out the costs. So that's why we recommended sort of one hit and do it once.
Councillor Lovett.
I'm just looking at like criteria on your different holes here. That it's fantastic. But I was just wondering, we've gone from the mountains to the sea, and from Rakaia virtually to town. And I was wondering on your bottom one, on your pivot irrigation, whether we could include Hines within that with their ponds and their pivots, and perhaps their deer down there, whether that could be incorporated in the whole that does that, and then you're bringing the whole Ashburton County into it. Whether that could be considered.
Yes, there are some places of particular note. I guess the agricultural themed holes were not named a particular place, like there's harvesters kind of scattered across the district, there's machinery, there's dairy cows scattered across. So we didn't particularly have every town or every location. If there is a massive shortcoming that the councillors on the appointed group, wanted to raise, absolutely happy to amend further. But it does also depend on how many holes we're doing. If we're wanting a 9-hole golf course, half of these get reduced anyway, and 18 is clearly 18.
That looks great.
Councillor Wilson.
It concerns me that we set a budget and we've gone over the budget by 25%, potentially. Is there any other way we can make, I know that they're different departments, but we can make savings elsewhere in that same recreation biodiversity area, which is, through parks and recreation, by transferring some resources from, maybe it's the dirty corner of the domain to this, because it's just, we can't just go, suddenly pluck more money out of the air.
What we really need from council is an approved project here, so we know the scale of the new thing we're trying to build. The funding of it is a slightly separate issue, and I think the GM's already said that there's no rates implications from doing this. So if you want this project to cost less, then I think you need to tell us the design needs to be less, rather than trying to crib bits from somewhere else so this looks less. In the end, it's the design of this we need approved, and you have the opportunity to perhaps do that now.
Thank you. Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Sarah, page 36, the ongoing maintenance, what do you see, what comes under that? Is that sort of the fixing of vandalism, or is that, trimming trees and things around the holes?
There won't be too many trees there, and if there are, they'll take a while to grow anyway. But we hope there is no vandalism, but you can never say never, unfortunately. The other challenge is over time things do wear, so not short term but longer term. If you've been on many golf courses, there are parts where generally everyone tees off, and we'll be including tee pads, so that stops that sort of high use intensity. But so it's those sort of things. The design and all the conversations to date have been, it is in an open area, so robust, suitably constructed theming is required, so that we do have the maintenance as low as possible. And we haven't included anything, we just thought we'd see how it goes for the first year, but potentially the year 3 project is that there might be some maintenance costs associated with it. Hopefully not too many, but there will be some.
And is security a part of your budget here too? Or is there any added security going in, cameras wise and things like that, or are you happy with what's down there?
There are CCTV cameras already in that area, so yeah, I'm not sure if we need to or we don't. In terms of availability of the course, if you're wanting to hire equipment, clearly that's in opening hours of EA Network Centre, and they late at nights, until 9 o'clock. So that's sort of, we think, would cover off most bases. But I guess like the skate park or like any playground, if somebody wanted to be there at 2 a.m, they could be there at 2 a.m.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. With some of the holes being designed up the slope, for want of a better word, the accessibility of those with disabilities, a wheelchair, etc., will they still be able to get up to those holes or not?
No, and that's where the options of the paper come into play. We've sort of gone through option 1 is all holes on the flat, because if you're aiming for 18 holes, clearly we've got the flat area we've got, so it's more condensed. So there will definitely be some accessibility features in there, but there might not be sufficient spacing to meet all criteria or desires. Option 2 is by far the most accessible. There are 9 holes, it's on the same flat area, and we would be able to do maximise all accessibility features. Option 3 is a combination of both. So our intention would be to have as many accessible features on the flat holes, and it might be that there's a 9-hole mini golf course that has all accessibility, and the other 9 holes that are split between the flat and up the hill are not designed to meet accessibility criteria. If we were to, the cost of the project would just go through the roof. So there's this payoff between design and challenge, where the course I went to relatively recently, the theming was all external to the holes, so it was on the edge, and so it was nothing in the hole itself, because it had to have full accessibility. So there's a consequence, benefit as well as consequences with design. So that's where the options, and we're seeking council's direction of the location, the degree of accessibility and the number of holes, because then we will be able to make the next decisions in line with your thinking.
Okay.
Sir, if a person has their own putter and their own ball, what's the cost to use this?
Our intention is that it would be free to use it. We do think that bookings, and we've alluded to that in the system, would still be required. Because otherwise the challenge is that, you turn up with your family group and you're in a queue of 100 people, and, it's not actually a very nice experience. So, especially at peak times, I guess, of weekends and things. So, but our intention, but everything's subject to council's desires in terms of fees and charges, but we're not planning on manning it. So that we think that the staff member is based within the facility as part of the reception team, and like we can hire out golf discs, we would hire out a club and a ball, and there would be a charge associated with that. But if you had your own and you booked in, you get your wristband to say you were there at whatever time or the time slot, and then go from there.
Yep, great. One question on the recommendation number 1, that a council engages Creo to construct a native. Is that to actually build it, or is that to do the design, detailed design?
They do both. So they're a design and build company of playgrounds. They did CBay, they were leading designer and organiser at CBay Playground. So they're very competent designers, and also they work with local providers for concrete, for example, and meet our procurement policy that way, because we've passed that. But them doing the technical skills associated with the theming and things like that, it's their team that do it.
Okay, so for our procurement policy, then how does it fit that, or are they tendering the work and we decide which company we'll use to actually physically do the work?
Yeah, so as officers, where we see the procurement policy is, for example, the civil landscaping work would be one package, the concrete could be included in that or separate as another package. So that they want to use local suppliers. They're based sort of nationwide, some in Oamaru, some in Wellington, some in Auckland, and etc. But they'll be using local contractors to, get a good product and keep costs low as well. So, but the technical aspect of the work is done by their staff.
Right. Thank you. Councillor McMillan.
I was just going to ask, can we move these three recommendations separately?
You can if you wish, yeah.
I'm happy to start moving the first one if there's no other questions.
Okay.
So that council engages Creo to construct an 18-hole mini golf course, that etc. Option 3.
Option 3, seconder. Councillor Lovett. Open for debate. Being no debate, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried, thank you. Number 2.
That council delegates authority to the Mayor and Councillor Brahm to approve final course hole features and designs of the project.
Councillor McMillan moved. Councillor Cameron seconding. And the key word is there, or is taken out.
Yes.
Yep. And is in, or is out. Moved and seconded. Open for debate. Put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Item number 3.
That council approves up to 500,000 from the reserves contribution reserve for a mini golf course and associated project costs.
Councillor McMillan moved. A seconder. Councillor Brahm. Debate. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. In essence, I support this motion, but I would like to see use of existing staff and existing assets and existing everything maximised, if at all possible, because I think that's an opportunity to save some money and also get a very efficient system going. So I don't know if that's implicit in that. I don't really understand that. But when we discussed the breakdown of the items, we discussed ways in which perhaps we could minimise the cost, like using our propagated plants and using our staff to put the plants in, all that sort of thing. So I would like to see that every opportunity to minimise costs by using existing resources was maximised. Does that need to be added to the...
Added or noted? Noted. Yep, added. Okay, added, if an amendment. We'll have to have the words though, so if we could all go off and Councillor Cameron comes back on. Now the words, thank you.
Where's the motion? I've got to go back to the top of the page again. With the understanding, what did you say, Lenny? 27. Yeah, I'm here now. With the understanding that this is a maximum amount and all opportunities are realised to reduce the costs, for example, using locally propagated plantings and using local staff to do the plantings, undertake the lawn mowing and all that sort of stuff. Oh, well, yeah. Can you Carol will be able to think something better than that.
No, we need it.
The subtle difference I'm hearing between the words for the resolution and what I thought you were saying is all avenues to reduce the cost. For example,
yes,
I thought the original motion was going to be amended along the lines that you approve this with the proviso that council propagated plants and council staff are used wherever possible.
yes.
So those are two subtly different things.
Well, I prefer the latter.
Perfect. That's what I thought that's where I thought it was going, but then it became reduced
Bit
costs wherever
confused.
and it was a wee bit different then.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so it's just wherever possible, where we can, utilising council propagated plants and council staff wherever possible.
Second, was the mover and the seconder happy with that addition? They are, the Lane and Liz. Yeah, cool. That now is added in. Yep, right. There's more questions, more debate. Phil, Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Yeah, although I'm disappointed that the budget's gone up for this project, I've played both good and bad mini golf courses, and yeah, there are the good ones you go back to and you're happy to pay for. The bad ones you just don't play again, and you probably tell twice as many people. I think there's wider benefit for the town, the region, but also EA. Or we'll go and play mini golf and then we'll go for a swim. I can see that sort of thing happening. So hopefully we get more bods in our facility there, and we're going to get a bit of a return for our money with our $5 hire or $10 hire, or whatever it is, going forward as well. But I think this could, if we do it right, do it the first time, do it right, it could be a real destination point. And I think including the photo opportunity thing at the course as well, right from the word go. So social media does a job advertising for us as well with this project. So yeah, I talk in favour.
Yeah, having seen some concept plans early on, it looks like it will be a course you will want to play. Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Yes, Mr Mayor, I also speak in favour. It's a great addition, the additional activity for family participation, and sits along well with disc golf, which is also an activity in the same area. So, but also I think mini golf, it's another answer to the question that there's nothing to do in Ashburton, so it's another activity for families to be involved in. So I speak in support.
Councillor Wilson.
I speak against. We had a budget of 400,000 approved, and now we've got 500. We can't just have budgets being greater than what we've looked at, because if we did that in every budget, we'd have a 20% rate increase. Because I know this comes from reserves, but the money still is borrowed by the council, so that does affect our overall budget. So I speak against because I think we had a budget and now we've come in way above it, so just can't keep doing that.
You see the words there, up to 500, but gives me a bit of solace. Councillor Brown.
And that is the reason I'm part of that. I just want to make sure that we're doing it right, and that we're coming with something what is really great and what we can afford. The question, no, it's not the question, but the plans might not always be from open spaces, because they might not be suitable, but we try.
No further speakers for or against? And put the motion, all in favour, please say aye. Against? Councillor Wilson carried. Do you want that recorded? No. Passed. Thank you.
Was that the movement, or was it
No, they added it on to it. Move it second, we're happy with it. Item number 13 on page 43. The EA Network Centre Master Plan. We've got Mel, Richard and Mark and Sarah. Anything further to add to the report?
No, this project has been a long time in the making in terms of the finalisation. It was paused at officers' request just to see what would happen with regards to sort of shorter term need with regards to the fields sort of space within the district and town of Ashburton. But we're at the position that we are today, and looking forward to adopting this 30-year program. As the plan says, a number of the projects are placeholders. They don't commit council to financial expenditure in any particular year, but the purpose is to ensure that we don't develop something in a location that isn't fitting for the future or eliminates other projects. So that's the purpose of having this document, and happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Councillor? Oh, Hamish, you're right on. Sorry. Councillor Miller.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm just looking on page 57, and it has all the projects, the names about the project, and the dates proposed. So I guess this is a living document, and these will be updated as we've just we'll have a date shortly, I presume, for the mini golf course. So they'll just be updated as we go through annual plans, long-term plans, etc. Is that right?
Hamish.
Yes, absolutely. So it's very similar to our experience with the domain development plan. Each of the projects requires resource allocation, i.e. budget, at an appropriate annual plan or long-term plan. Without that, there's a sense of general general direction of travel with this plan, but it does not, without resource allocation through a budget process, mean any of it will get done without that second step.
Thank you. And just to remind me, the sand quarters in there, and it has scheduled works. What was the update on that? I can't remember, sorry.
The sand court's been a project that has been put on hold temporarily while we've been doing the mini golf investigation. Right. Again, we didn't want the overlap of spaces to preclude or exclude one thing from happening. So we're just currently going out to the market and getting our pricing reconfirmed to keep that project moving forward.
No further questions. Thank you. Move in a second for recommendation. Councillor Todd, Councillor Lovett. Open for debate. Councillor Lovett. No.
I'm just going to say it's good to see it finally come to the table, and we passing it today. It's been a long time coming, and it's good to have a direction here, and it's good to see it's going to be a living document that can be updated or added to. It's not going to sit on a shelf and get dusted, all dusty.
Yeah, I also support the adoption of this 30-year master plan. As I said, it's 30 years, and there's no budget figures in the first 10 years because we're constrained. But as long-term plans are progressed over the next years, I'm sure some of these projects will be picked up and then finally delivered. What time yet we don't know, but at least it's in there. And as you say, it's a living document. It can change as time goes on too, with different things that happen with sporting events, etc. So yeah, supporting this adoption of the plan. Councillor Hooper.
Yeah, echo your thoughts and sentiments. Yep, I support very much a living document, but yeah, nice to know that we're not putting things in the wrong places.
I've got no further speakers for or against, so I'm going to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Next item is number 14, Elderly Persons Housing Policy 2024. And we've got Lou and Renee and Mark. Thank you. Anything further to add to the report?
No, thank you.
Questions, councillors? Surely there's a question. Oh, it's on page 61 there. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Just with the new units that are going to be built, and they're going to have a different rental rate with them, but will all people who are now in the existing units be given first choice on the new ones if they're happy to pay a little bit more to move into one of the new ones as an existing client, or will they just go out to the open market, I suppose?
It's most cost effective to have people just move in, because what happens is if you're moving people from existing units, then you may have to do the refurbishments required to those units, and you've also got the time in between for people to give notice and then move in. So we can do that if that's your wish, but there are some cost implications that come with that.
Yeah, just sort your light on Councillor Ellis, but there might be another question coming. I think it would be beneficial to ask them if they would like to go, but there's certainly costs to move, etc., that they'll have to undertake.
I think Renee's pointing out there are costs to council, because you may have to refurbish the one vacated, yeah, because it's and there'll be a period of time without that one being tenanted, so it's not just costs to the tenant, there's costs to council by doing that.
Yeah, and they do need refreshing every whatever anyway, so, and if it's only just been done, then there may not be any cost, but they do have to be refreshed every whatever, so understand what you're saying though. Councillor McMillan.
Thank you, through the chair. Page 73, under 1.1.7, be a New Zealand citizen or have permanent residency, etc. Do we often get non-residents or non-citizens applying for housing? Because down on the next page there's a criteria about that they need to be a current resident of Ashburton or family in Ashburton. So do you do Do you get instances like that, or have you had in the past?
Through the chair, yes, we had. So that's, we had an unusual situation happen.
Okay.
So that's,
So that covers all of that. So the current residents have family in the district, past residents, etc. applies, and then they just have to be a citizen or hold residency.
Correct.
Councillor Cameron?
The people that moved, just following on from Neil's point, the people that moved out of the apartments when they were rebuilt, are they all queued up to come back in though? No.
Through the chair, no. Generally speaking, when it's quite an ordeal for people of that age to actually move, and many of them, once they move, they want to stay put.
So you're getting totally new people as per the priority list in the document, in the policy?
There are some tenants that we have identified that their units need to be refurbished. So I think there's 4.
And they might be somewhere else of the 109 units sort of thing?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I have one more question. I'm pleased to see that the at personal effects, the total asset has been crossed out, and now we're using the accommodation supplement limit set by WINS. How do they compare with our own? Like more or less or different or?
So the asset limits are less for accommodation supplement. So for a single person, so cash assets would be $8,100.
8,000.
Yeah, and for a couple, $16,200.
So it's got more stringent. Is that correct to get into our houses? Is that right?
Yeah. So the limits are less than what were in the policy. Correct. Yeah.
Okay, and then what do we measure that? Like, does someone come along and apply, and you have a look at that and see how much they have, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the purpose of updating those limits was, as the policy was before, the officers would have to go and ask for, proof of assets or proof of finance, and the purpose of doing this is that we don't have to do that anymore. So prospective tenants can simply provide a letter from WINS to say that they're receiving some form of benefit, and that meets that financial criteria or threshold.
Okay.
Councillor Wilson?
I note the word self-sustaining in there in 27, 28. With the if you had all the units full and the rents were what they were at, would it be making money, or would it be self-sustaining? Does that mean that the budget is zero, or the budget is plus, or was it nearest to zero it can be? Because people wouldn't want to see the rents higher than what it took to recover the costs of the houses. That's what I'm getting at.
I guess the answer to that is we're doing more work on that to understand that for you, and we'll bring that back to you in the new year.
Thank you. Sorry, I forgot to ask this question. I understood that people in Ashburton housing, our own housing, cannot get accommodation supplement. Is that correct?
To the chair, no, that's not correct. So
that's not correct. Okay, so that's changed from what we used to think.
No. With the accommodation supplement, it's dependent on the amount of assets that somebody has.
Okay.
So with the limits where they were before, some people weren't eligible because they held more assets than what was eligible for the accommodation supplement.
Okay.
So there's some people within that are eligible and some that were not.
Okay, so based on the new eligibility criteria, some people may be eligible, some people may not be eligible, but the maximum we can rent them at is 80% of market. Is that right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Miller?
Thank you. Page 75, under the rental levies, and I remember when we set these probably 3 years ago when we did this policy, and we talked in length, I remember, about increasing $10 each year. Is that still, I won't say relevant, but is that, do you think that's enough to increase the levies by each year?
We are doing some more work on that, and that's what we're hoping to bring back to you.
Okay, thank you.
No further questions? Thank you. Is there a mover and a seconder for this recommendation that we adopt the elderly person housing policy 2024? Councillor Brown, Councillor Cameron, open for debate. No debate. I'll put the motion on. In favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Next item is number 15, Ashburton District Welcoming Community Plan, page 77. Welcome, Tony and Mercedes. Anything further to add to your report?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to give you a quick update, last week we did receive notification that we have received our Level 3 accreditation. In the report we've said that we were the first, but we are one of two.
Who was the other?
Actually not our news to break who the second is. We know it informally, but it's their news and MB's news. It's not a South Island council though.
Right, thank you. Councillor Cameron, questions?
Congratulations to you both on that. That's marvellous. Congratulations. I have a worry, and I don't know if it's legitimate or not, that the government have indicated that they don't want council to be involved in the well-beings. How does this impact our welcoming communities plan and activity?
Thank you. That's a fabulous question at this point in time. We're taking a lot of heart from MB, who have been doing a lot of research in this space, and they produced a report last year that's looking at where the program's at, because it has been in place since about 2017-18, and it was able to prove that the Welcoming Communities program does lead to positive outcomes for the local economy and the wider local community. So it's leaning less on the well-beings and more on the economic lens of what it brings to a community, and that's giving the government some comfort that yes, this is a worthy and legitimate program.
Oh, that's marvellous, and yeah, wonderful.
Councillor Lovett.
I'm just going to ask, with going up the accreditation line, what difference is it going to make out in the community? Where are we going to see the difference of we're spending money getting all these accreditations? Where is it leading to, or is it more out there? Yeah,
Thank you. It shows our maturing as a community and how we are evolving in this space. I mean, we're a very different community to what we were when I moved here back in the early 2000s, for example. We have changed and evolved an awful lot. In terms of the cost of being in the accreditation program or not, there is no cost to council. It's officer time. And so we're conscious of that. It's not something you try and do on an annual basis. However, it helps us to identify where our gaps sit, and it helps us to say, yes, okay, we need to focus more on that to be able to lift up that particular goal and that particular aspect. And so the areas that we got the feedback on were similar to the ones that we were saying, yes, that's the spots that we need to focus in on for the next couple of years, which will show up in the plan.
Councillor Todd.
Thank you. Obviously, I'm supportive of what you're trying to do or achieve. And welcome new people into our district. So we're doing our bit. It's also a two-way thing, I believe. So what are we doing to encourage the new people coming into our town to integrate more, and get involved in sporting groups and join organisations and all that sort of stuff, because we can do our bit, but they also need to come our way as well, don't they?
Yes, and through some of the community organizations that are already working out there in the community, organizing events, organizing workshops, activities in general, these are the ways that we can incorporate or help integrate newcomers into the community. Through the Ethnic Communities Fund Day for next year, we already heard feedback, and sports clubs would like to be involved. So these are the initiatives we're working on to get newcomers involved in the community.
And further to that, pleasingly, like what Mercedes was able to showcase through our accreditation process, was we now have newcomers to our district that are JPs, for example, and we've got more people starting to sit on different boards at different levels and starting to give back and feed into the local community and the local scene. So that's really pleasing to see. It takes generally about 5 years for someone to decide, or more, if this is their home. And, you know, if ideally we can get someone feeling like this is their home within 5 years, then they're starting to put down roots and perhaps settle their children here and actually make this the place that they want to raise their families, for example.
Councillor Hooper?
Thank you. Would you say you're getting more of a blueprint in your minds about who's suitable for our district, as in, oh, they're not likely to go to Christchurch in the next couple of years after we've just about got them settled? Do you know what I mean? Is that sort of big picture becoming clearer, who really suits, or is that still an ever-evolving, moving feast?
Yeah, through the chair. It's an interesting concept because I think even who we might call our locals, we can never assume that they're going to stay here forever. Often people are here for work, and so it's helping people to settle into jobs, to be able to find good housing, to be able to then put their kids into school and feel like everyone's being accepted and welcomed. Once you start nailing those things, all of a sudden it starts to become home. But I think we could just as easily argue that we've got local Ashburtonians who, after a long time, decide that the big smoke's for them.
Yeah, true.
Councillor Ellis?
Thank you, and just to help Councillor Hooper on that one, say for Miss Canterbury, with the refugee resettlement, are finding if they get people with younger families tend to integrate in once they get to school than with those older teenagers who are looking for more of that bigger city atmosphere. So get those younger families in, get the kids into the schools, and it gets that community feel going, and that seems to work.
Yeah, I think I opened 15 Kangaroo houses just last week, and we're informed from Kangaroo that a lot of the people going into them are not necessarily from the district, so they decided to connect with them because there's people there that need to be welcomed in as well, who we think would be from around here, but generally they're not. So new people to our community. So, and there's going to be more of those houses, or there's more houses being built as we speak. So it's another avenue of people coming in. Councillor Cameron.
I would like to move the recommendation, if that's appropriate time.
Have you got any more questions? Or we've got a question over here. No, we'll take the recommendation to be moved then. Councillor Cameron, to speak to it? No. No. You're just speeding things up. Councillor McMillan.
I'd like to second, and I'd like to congratulate Mercedes and Tony on the work that they have done, and I was lucky enough to go up to a Welcoming Communities conference in July this year, and Ashburton is held with such high esteem in the Welcoming Communities program. We were a pilot back in 2017, I think. We've managed to keep our Welcoming Communities officer through that time, which has been really good, and I can see now we're collaborating with so many other organisations, and just thinking about the Ethnic Leaders Forum, that the awards that I went to the other night, so many of those people taking on roles in their community and belonging to sort of organisations and really feeling part of the Ashburton district was great to see, so congratulations.
Yeah, I'll also just echo those words of Deputy Minister. So well done for that accreditation level you've got to. Put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Next item is naming of roads. Item number 16 on page 116. Ian and Brett, welcome. Anything further to add to the report?
Nothing further to add.
Nothing further. Questions, councillors? I do have one on page 117. It's under the current situation. It's got the preferred name Carlisle Drive, but in the recommendation we've got Carlisle Place. Just explain what the difference is there, please.
So the difference is that a drive can't be a cul-de-sac. A drive is generally a main road that's quite wide, that has a few intersections in it, whereas this is a cul-de-sac.
So the applicants asked for the name to be used as Carlisle Drive, and you're saying just for that reason it can't be, so change to Carlisle Place is...
Through the chair, yes, and that's been accepted by the applicant.
And they know about that and they're happy?
Yes.
Yeah. Further questions, councillors? thank you. Recommendation there, someone like to move? Councillor Hooper, Councillor Todd. Any speakers for or against? Councillor Hooper?
Yeah, speak in favour. A very nice area of town, some very nice people, and a very nice name.
No speakers for or against? I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Next item is number 17. On page 112, and the councillor's reports. Deputy Mayor Macmillan's report there. Anything further to add, Liz? It's all there. Any questions? So I'd like to move that we receive the report. Councillor Cameron, Councillor Lovett. All in favour, please say aye. Carried. Thank you. Next item over the page 18, the Mayor's report. And just kick off with the Mayor's report on 18.1 and just acknowledge the passing of Chris Allen last week and attended his funeral on Saturday, which was a large event. And as it says there, Chris was a tireless advocate in the farming sector through his work with Fed Farmers and the Water Zone Committee and numerous other committees he is on as well. He's involved and he'll be missed by many, and thoughts are with his family at this time. Chris is a very good leader of our community, and he will be missed. Meetings there, just one meeting I didn't attend, which was the 17th of December last night, the farewell for Mel Brooks. I didn't attend that one, so we'll just amend that, but every other meeting there has been attended. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you. The Thought Leadership Breakfast, was that at the local meeting, or what was the thought? Was that a local thought?
We have that. I'm invited to that. It's organised by the ASB Bank. Let's have some business leaders.
Oh, in Ashburton.
It's at the Lushingtons. We have a breakfast there to talk about generally business, economic, generally rural orientated. Bank managers, farm advisors, farmers there, led by the ASB Bank. I'm invited along. Yep. Move in a second for the Mayor's report. I'll move. Second to Councillor Hooper. Put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. That takes us to the end of the open part of the meeting. And before we go offline, I'd just like to wish everyone in the district and further afield, if they're listening, a very Merry Christmas, and hope the next year is a prosperous year for everyone. Hope you get time to spend time with family and friends over the festive period, take a break, and batteries recharged for a good 2025. So, well done for everyone for getting through this year. Been difficult at times economically, but I see some green shoots appearing out there now, especially in this district, and I see that on the back of the dairy payout, so, which makes up half our, or very close to it, half our GDP in this district. So dairying's increasing in dollar returns, so that will be flowing through our district. If it has already started, I think I can see it. So I'll look for a mover and a seconder to move in committee. Councillor McMillan, Councillor Todd. All those in favour, please say aye. Thank you.